Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Guys, please check it. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. All of you get my voice on screen, guys. Those who are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. And GVM Prabhakar. GVM Prabhakar. Are you there? Prabhakar. Are you there? GVM Prabhakar. Yeah, please try to join with the ID. Durgasoft has given some ID to you, right? Please try to join with ID. Yeah, good morning, guys. Good morning to all. Guys, and still people are not joined with ID numbers. Then better join with ID numbers, guys. Durgasoft has given some ID numbers to you. Then try to join with that. Okay, right. Right. Good morning, guys. And check it what we completed in the last session. All right, sir. Then so there we started first application development. I think very first application we completed in the last session. Okay. And have we completed the first application? All of you completed first application. All of you are getting output. As it is, whatever the work I have done, everything, just try to do that. Then we are able to get some clarity. All right. All right, sir. Then for the sake of your view, for the sake of your point here, just I want to prepare one more application. Then after that, I will start flow of execution, internal flow of execution, how this servlet program is running internally. Okay. So just within 2 minutes of time, I'll finish this application. Try to understand this. See, first of all, what I have to do there after this, all of you observe carefully. First, what we have to do there, we need to create a directory structure under web apps folder. See, go with what there, C drive. Inside the C drive, we have already Tomcat 10.0, right? Double click on it. Go with what there, web apps. Inside the web apps, we have to create our application folder. Let me create it now. New, observe carefully, folder. Then app02 is a folder name. Here I provided app02. Alright, inside this app02, I need to create web-inf folder. Right click on it and folder web-inf folder. Inside this web-inf folder, then what next one here? Classes folder. Classes folder. Alright. So under web apps folder, we created app02. Then after this app02 web-inf folder, inside this web-inf folder, we prepared what there? Classes folder. All right, now this is the directory structure what we created. This is a directory structure here what we created. Clear? All right. If it is a case now, then what we have to create there after completion of this? After completion of this, I need to create like servlet class. First I have to create, then after that I have to create what their web.xml file. Which one is first and which one is secondary, that doesn't matter. Anyway, here we can prepare this. All right, now observe carefully. I need to prepare servlet class. Right, sir. Now here edit plus, here we have to take. Right, sir. Now again file new Java, file new Java. Right, now here what we have to do there, servlet class I want to prepare. Now tell me guys, first of all we need to import the packages. What packages here we have to import there? All right, sir. Previously already we have seen yesterday, two packages are mandatory in every servlet class. Two packages are mandatory in every servlet class. What are the two packages now? First one is import java x dot servlet dot, no response. uh, right, sir. Of course this is also be valid, but unfortunately Tomcat 10.0 is not supporting. But if you use Tomcat 9.x version, definitely it is supporting here. Already I worked with the Tomcat 9.x previously. It's working. But anyway, then in Tomcat 10.0 version, what we have to import there, which package we have to import there? Import Jakarta dot servlet dot star. But one more point I'm telling there, when I'm going to use IDEs now, IDEs are going to import these packages by default or not, that we have to check again. Got it or not? IDEs are providing support for Jakarta or not, that we have to check anyway. Understand it anyway. Alright, sir. First of all, here we prepared import statement. One more package is mandatory. Or before that, now tell me why you import this package, no? Why we imported this package? What is the requirement of it? What is the need of importing this package, no? Because of servlet interface, because of servlet exception, because of servlet request, because of servlet response, because of servlet config, because of these many 5 predefined libraries, we have to import what there? Jakarta.servlet.star. See, then try to understand the reasons, each and every intersection that we have to answer for the interview questions now. What is the requirement to import Jakarta.servlet package? No, for the sake of availability of servlet library. What servlet library in this program? The servlet interface I'm going to use, servlet exception I'm going to use, servlet request I'm going to use, servlet response I'm going to use. Next one is what there apart from this now? All right, sir. Then another one is what there? Servlet config that we are going to use. Because of this interfaces and classes purpose, we need to import the Jakarta.servlet.star. Next one more package is mandatory. Then what is that package here? Java.io.star. For what purpose the Java.io.star? Because of IO exception, because of print writer. Because of IO exception, because of what their print writer. Got it or not? Because of these two things here we provided. Now tell me, every servlet class must be declared with the public or not? Every servlet class must be declared with what their public. Why it is public? No. Why? Because servlet class object must be created by container. So scope of the servlet class must be available to the container. Understand my point here? So if you want to make available servlet class scope to the container, then definitely we have to declare that servlet class as what their public. All right, public class. Now here, just what we provided here, I want to provide hello servlet, for example. Previously given welcome servlet. Now this time I want to prepare what there? Hello servlet. Hello servlet. Then what we have to write there? Now tell me. Implements. What we have to write there? Servlet. Implement servlet. All right. Whenever we are implementing servlet interface, there we must provide implementation for all methods of the servlet interface or not? How many methods are available in servlet interface now? 5 methods are available. Overall, how many methods are available here? 5 methods are available. What are the 5 methods there? One is what? Init method. Next one is what? Service method. Next one is what? Get servlet config method. Next one is what? Get servlet info. Last one is what? Destroy method. Sir, try to remember this. These 5 methods, if you remember, no, Next onwards, I'm going to utilize the concept effectively. As clear? All of you know 5 methods. What are the 5 methods now? Tell me. Init method, service method. Next one is what? Get servlet config method. Next one is what? Get servlet info method. Last one is what? Describe method. These are the 5 methods we must aware clearly. Alright, so now let us implement the methods. Can you tell me what is the prototype of the init method? What is the prototype of the init method? Public void. I think really we are not doing these examples, sir. Just you are overacting. Really we are not doing this example. Just copy paste batch, I think so. And the document copy and paste now. I think so. Then it seems like that you are available now. Tell me, what is the prototype of init method? Public void, init of, what next one? Servlet, config. What next one? Throws, tell me, throws, servlet, exception. Is it required to implement anything? No, not required to implement anything. Right, sir. Leave this one. Just open and close this method only. In the future, I will use these methods in effective way. There I will give clarity why I'm going to use these methods effectively. All right. Then after that, after completion of this, next method is what there? Service method. So now tell me, what's the prototype of service method? Public void service. Tell me what we have to provide there? Two parameters. What are the two parameters? No, servlet request comma servlet response. What next one here? After that, throws. What next one? Servlet exception comma IO exception. That's okay, fine. Then inside this we have to provide our application logic. What's that? What's the first step here we have to provide there? We need to set content type or not. We need to give some information to the client browser about what type of response my present servlet is generating. That point here we have to understand. So response dot set a content type of here what we have to provide there, text or HTML. Even if you are not providing these, by default it will take text or HTML only. Then by default the default response type is what there, text or HTML only. Observe carefully what I am giving there. All right, sir. Okay, after this, then what next one here? After completion of this, I need to get primitive writer or not? I want to get a primitive writer. Primitive writer out is equal to a response dot get writer. So here we are getting primitive writer. What is the purpose of this primitive writer? To carry response to the response object. To send a response to the response object. From that, container will take response from response object. Container will dispatch that response to the respective client. So we have to keep some response in the response object. For that purpose, we are getting primitive writer. Next one is out.println of. There we can write our HTML code. Whatever the code here we want to write, that we can write. Out.println of. Just we want to provide like what their body. That's okay, fine. Next one is out.println of. Out.println of. There we can provide like what their h1 tag. All right, sir. Now here inside this h1 tag we can provide what their style. Style is equal to what we have to provide there, color colon red. I want to use. Okay. Now align is equal to what we want to provide there, center. That means what is the meaning of it now? My response I want to keep in red color, and that I want to provide at the center part of the, that means center, the left to right. If you take the align, no, center part of the browser, topmost position, center part of the browser that we are providing there. All right, so they are the styles what we provided. No, the next one is what there, out.println of. Now I want to provide some message here. All right, so just I want to user like what there, hello user. Just some message here I want to provide, good morning. Then after that, what next one here, out.println of. Here we have to provide slash h1 tag. Then we can close all the tags in a single out.println or in multiple out.printlns. Depends on your requirement. Then after that, then what we have to do there, slash body. and slash HTML that we provided. Now this is exactly the meaning of like what there, hello servlet. Alright sir, now this preparation, this servlet preparation is almost the same as previous one or not? Almost the same as previous one or not? Alright sir, but I want to have a small change. Small change here I need to show. What is the change here I want to provide? In this servlet class, I want to provide a package. I want to provide a package. Observe carefully. Not exactly the same as previous application, but little bit change. I want to provide now package. I want to provide a package. Com dot Durgasoft dot servlets package here I want to include. You know already what is the meaning of package? Tell me guys, what is this package? No, collection of classes and interface in a single unit or not? Okay, now I want to keep this particular servlet under package. Whenever I've declared package, no, as you complete your core Java, immediately one point we have to get in our mind. What's that point here? We have to compile this Java file with which option there? Whenever we are using packages, no, how we are going to compile the Java files? By using one option. What is that option there? -d. By using -d option, we have to compile the packages. If we are using packages in our Java file, we must compile the Java file with which option? No, -d option. Observe carefully. That we are going to see there. Anyway, let me save this first. Where we have to save there? Now tell me. Tell me guys. Yesterday I given that location there. Directly. Actual structure is what there. We have to save the Java file under what there? SRC location. Then class file. Dot class file we have to be sent to where there? Classes folder. To avoid this total confusion, what I'm trying to do now, directly I'm going to save this under classes folder directly. I'm going to save this under what there? Classes folder. There I want to compile my Java program there. So let me go with what there? C drive. Inside the C drive, go with what there? Tomcat 10.0. Inside this web apps. Inside this, what is our application there? app02. Open it. Web folder. Classes folder. Inside the classes folder. Right, don't go up to this WebINF and don't save this. Then there we have to provide like what there? Inside the classes folder. Inside the classes folder, we have to save our servlet class. What is that servlet class here we provided here? Hello servlet. Simple, I need to use like what there? Hello servlet dot Java. Please cross check your servlet class name and file name now. Whatever the servlet class name we have declared, with the same name, we have to save your Java file. Why? Because the servlet class is what there? Public. A very public class. If you have there, the file name should be what there? Public class name only. Right, sir. Hello servlet dot Java. Do this one. Now servlet class is defined or not? Alright, sir. Now servlet class is ready. Then we have to compile the program. To compile the program, first open command prompt. Go to the location where we have saved our Java file. Tell me what is that location there? No, D drive. Sorry, C drive. Then inside the C drive, what we have to go there? CD space Tomcat, CD space web apps, CD space app02, then CD space webinf, then CD space classes. Now we are under classes folder. There we have to compile the program or not? All of you observe carefully. Java C space. What we have to use there? -d. Then target location we have to specify or not? Package name we provided in the sense folder structure we want to get. But where we want to get that folder structure? At the target location. What is my target location? Current location. If current location is the target location, there we have to put what there? Dot. Dot is representing what their current location. That means dot is representing what their current location. That means I want to get folder structure with respect to the package name at the same current location. That is what their classes. Inside the classes, I want to see com folder. Inside this com folder, I want to see Durgasoft folder. Inside this Durgasoft folder, I want to see what their classes folder. There only I want to prepare my servlet.class file. Got it or not? Okay, Java C -d space dot space I have to provide what there? My servlet class name. What is my servlet class name there? Hello servlet dot Java. If we provide this type of command now, first container will search for, compiler will search for hello servlet.java or not. If it is available, compiler is trying to compile this hello servlet.java or not. No response, guys. Hello servlet.java or not. Now tell me, if I click on enter button, what will happen? Come on. If I click on enter button, then what we are able to get? Definitely we are able to get errors or not. We are able to get errors or not. So damn sure here we are able to get what there errors here. Why? Because compiler is trying to evaluate, compile the total program, where compiler aware about java.io package, but compiler does not aware about what there jakarta.servlet package. Got it or not? Compiler does not know what is servlet interface. Compiler does not know servlet config. Compiler does not know servlet request. Compiler does not know servlet response. Got it or not? Like this overall, how many errors here we are getting there in the previous example? 8 number of errors we are getting. Now let's see these errors again here. All 7 this time now. Okay, anyway, whatever it may be, 7 errors here we are getting. Cannot find servlet, cannot find servlet config, cannot find servlet exception, cannot find IO exception, that is servlet request, cannot find what there servlet response. Observe carefully, cannot find what is this actually servlet exception again servlet exception in the package here, for example. Anyway, then this many things here we are getting there. To come out from these errors, what we have to do? To come out from this, what we have to do? There we have to set class path environment variable or not. Now tell me what we have to set there. Set class path is equal to, now tell me guess what I have to write there. Where is my servlet library? The servlet library is available in the Tomcat server or not? Now let me go with what there Tomcat server, where it is available there. C drive, inside the C drive, go with what there Tomcat 10.0. Then what we have to open? Come on, what we have to open? Lib. We have to go with what there? Lib. Inside the lib, what we have to search there? What we have to search there? Slash servlet hyphen API.jar. Servlet hyphen API.jar. Now let me copy this. Control C. Let me copy this. Control C. Then open the command prompt where provide this total path. See Tomcat 10.0 lib servlet API.jar. That's okay, fine. Now here we need to compile the program again. What we have to do there? Java C space hyphen D space dot. Then what next one here? Hello servlet dot Java. Let me compile this. Alright, sir. Now here we are getting some error here. Hello servlet is not abstract, does not override what method here? Of course, then okay, right. The point is it's a blunder mistake, right? Servlet interface we are implementing. How many methods we must implement? 5 methods. But how many methods we implement? You know, only 2 methods. That's the wrong thing, right? So definitely we have to implement all remaining methods. Default implementation, at least open and closed kind of implementation there. Public servlet config get servlet config method. Just here, return type is servlet config. Just I want to return null as of now. Next one is what there? Public void, not void, public string get servlet info method. Get servlet info method. Right, sir. Now here, what we want to return there? No, empty string. Alright, then after that, another method is available. What is this another method here? Public void destroy method. Nothing I provided in all the cases. No, that's it. Now this is exactly the meaning of this servlet preparation. That's okay now. Now here we want to provide like what there? Also careful Java C space hyphen D dot hello servlet dot Java. Now this time my servlet is compiled successfully. Let me check it whether that folder structure is created current location or not. Alright, sir. Now get observe carefully hello servlet dot Java file, backup file, of course. Then com folder is created or not? Inside the com folder, Durgasoft folder is created or not? Inside Durgasoft folder, servlets is created or not? Inside the servlets, we got that hello servlet dot class or not? So now tell me, what is the fully qualified name of my servlet class? What is the fully qualified name of my servlet class? Com dot Durgasoft dot servlets dot hello servlet. So in web.xml file, along with the servlet class tag, we need to provide fully qualified name of the servlet. So there we have to use what there com dot Durgasoft dot servlets dot hello servlet, that we have to provide. Alright, now let me check this. As usual, now here I want to provide one HR tag again, horizontal line. Here I want to provide again. Whenever we have done modification, again we have to compile the program. Okay, fine. That's okay. Everything is clear. Next, what I have to prepare there? Servlet class is ready. Even it is compiled successfully. Then what I have to prepare now? We have to prepare what? Web.xml file. Right? Now let me check this. File, new, others. Where what is available? XML. Okay. Now tell me. First of all, what is the root tag there? Now tell me. Web app tag. Web-app. Some people are doing the mistake is what there. People are writing web apps. They're adding yes. No. Web apps is a folder name. Web-app is what their tag. So web.xml file is one for one application. One web.xml for one application. There what we have to provide there web app only, not web apps. Alright. Inside this web app tag, two tags here we have to write. What are the two tags here we have to write there? First one is like what there? Servlet tag, and the second one is what there? Servlet mapping. Right, sir. First of all, let us provide the content inside the servlet tag now. Now here servlet name. Here we need to provide like what there? Hello servlet. That we can write slash servlet name. That's okay, fine. Now here we have to provide what there? Servlet class. Tell me what is the servlet class here we have to provide? Fully qualified name of the servlet class. What is the fully qualified name? Com dot Durgasoft dot servlets dot hello servlet. Then slash we have to provide what there? Servlet class. Then after completion of this, we need to provide what tag there? Servlet mapping tag. Now inside this slash servlet mapping. Now inside this, what we have to do there? Here we have to write like what there again? Servlet name. What is the servlet name there? Hello servlet. And a slash servlet name. Next one is what there after this? URL pattern. Slash. Now URL pattern I can provide like what there? Hello one slash URL pattern. Now tell me, I need to provide, we can provide more than one URL pattern for a single servlet. Am I right or not? We can provide more than one URL patterns for a single servlet. Now this is like what there? Hello 1, hello 2, hello 3. How many URL patterns can be provided now? 3 URL patterns can be provided for the servlet. That's okay. My servlet is ready. My servlet class is ready. That means my web.xml file is ready. Everything I provided clearly. Now I have to save this. Where I have to save this now? Tell me. I have to save this one under what? Under what? C drive, Tomcat 10.0, web apps, insert this app02, insert this webinf, not insert the classes. Under webinf, we have to save this. Web.xml. Name and location is fixed. But I want to check all ending tags are matched with my open tags or not. So what I have to do on edit plus no control B. If I type control B, there we are getting the total content as it is. Am I right or not? The total content here we are getting as is. So no mistake is available in my web.xml file. Leave this one, not required here. Alright, sir. Everything is ready. Then what next one here? What next one here? I have to start the server or not? I have to start the server. How we are going to start the server then? Now tell me. Alright, go with what there? C drive. Go inside this Tomcat 10.0. Now here we need to go with what there? Pin. Inside the pin, Tomcat 10 application is available or not? Application is available. Double click on it. Automatically Tomcat 10 server will start for us. Now here itself we can see that deployment status or not. We can see the deployment status. Where we can see the deployment status there. Observe carefully. What is our application actually? app02. Now see this one clearly. Here we are getting some information here. Now see this one here. Read this part here. Deployment of the web application directory like app02 as finished in 120 milliseconds. That means deployment is completed or not. Again, we are getting here also with the same message here. We are getting there. Deployment. Deploying web application directory app02. Previously, app1 is already existed. That app1 is also be deployed. Whatever the applications which are available under web apps folder, every application will be deployed automatically by the server when we start the server. Alright, then what next one here? Now tell me, open the browser. In the browser, we have to use that URL http:// localhost colon 1010, or else we can put a slash app02 slash allo1. Anything here we can use, but I want to open Tomcat administration page. In the Tomcat administration page, what we have to access there, we need to click on what there, manager app. Click on this manager. Then here we have to provide what there, username Durga and password is what there, Durga. Click on this sign in. Alright, sir. Now here my application is listed or not? Alright, so listed no. Status is what there, start. All the buttons are existed again. Now let me click on this app02. There we have to write like what there, URL pattern. How many URL patterns are defined for this servlet? No. How many URL patterns we provided there? 3 URL patterns here we provided. What are the 3 URL patterns now? Hello1, hello2, then what next one here? Hello3. Now let us try with what there, hello1. Then we are getting like what there, our required information here we are getting. Say for example, I want to use the URL pattern here only. Directly here I will provide hello2, enter button. Same response we are getting there. Next, similarly, I want to use what there, hello3. Click on enter button. Same response here we are getting. Say for example, if I type hello4, 4 is defined or not defined? Not defined. So what we are getting there? Status 404 not found. The requested resource is not available. So that's why here we are getting, this is what exactly the error here we are getting. Of course here we are using what there, hello3. After that here we are able to get the content. Right guys, now this is about our application. Here we can understand now. Right. 1 minute. Now here I want to include even this one also. Example 2. Now here this is what there, hello servlet dot java. Next one is web.xml. Inside this web.xml, here we have to write the content. Then after that, web.xml on command prompt. What exactly the work I have done there? Let me write it. Right, sir. Here unnecessarily I have done something. Right, sir. Now this is okay on command prompt. Okay, that's okay, fine. There we have used this one here, classes java say -d dot hello servlet. That's okay. Okay, 7 errors here we are getting. Now okay, set a class path here we provided here. That's okay. This is not required. Anyway, this is our mistake only in our notes. It's not required here. Now let me remove this. There we are getting compilation here directly. Then second time compilation is not required. This part is not required. Already we have done it. Okay. Right, sir. Then on the compilation part, what I have done, even that one also we have provided there. After completion of this, just we have to start the server. Then after starting the server, there we have to like what there, we have to access the web application there. That's it, sir. Now this is about clearly like what there, the total like servlet preparation and the second application also we can be completed. But what changes I provided here in this example? In this example, I have used package. Separately package I have used. And secondary, what I have provided here, more than one URL pattern we can provide. Even that point here I shown clearly. Got it or not? Right. So next one is internal flow. How these servlets are executed internally, how these servlets are executing, that internal flow. Here we are going to understand clearly. All of you ready for it? All right, sir. Now, observe carefully. I want to take one diagram. Simple diagrammatic representation here I want to provide. Now try to understand this clearly. Right, sir. First of all, let me prepare an application here now. This is web application. This is totally web application. I want to say something else like what there app01. First application, welcome application or hello application, whatever it may be. Understand the total flow of execution. Inside this, we are able to have web-inf folder. What folder it is? No, web-inf folder. Inside this web-inf folder, here we are able to have web.xml file. This is what their web.xml file. Inside this web.xml file, there is a mapping between hello servlet, any servlet class name. Here we can take /hello, for example, hello1 or hello2 or whatever it may be, something here I have taken there. There is a mapping between these two. Then after that, here we are having another folder. That folder is like what there, classes folder. Inside this classes folder, we are able to have a servlet class. That servlet class is what there, hello servlet. Dot class. Hello servlet dot class file is existed. Alright, so directly, even without using packages and all, I'm telling to you, observe carefully. Some code is existed. Now here, what we are having there now, operational area, where the total operations are going to be existed. That area is nothing but what their operational area. Right, sir. Here the total operations are going to be performed. Okay. This is like what their operational area where the total work is going to be happen. After that, all of you are getting clarity. All of you are getting clarity up to now. Right, sir. Next one is now here. Who will execute our servlet components? No, container. So container is required or not? Definitely container is required. This is container. Right, so now this is what their container. At the same time, server is required or not? Server is required. Server, main server. In other words, I am telling there main server. Main server, container, application, and this is what their operational area. Okay. Right, sir. Then here, what next one after completion of this? Here, I need to have a browser. This is browser. Okay. Now observe carefully. This is server mission. This part is what there, server machine. So in between this, what is available there, protocol is existed. Between these two, what is available here, protocol is existed. Okay, now here at a client browser address bar is existed. At a client browser address bar is existed. Clear or not? After this is the total infrastructure of the web application. What is this actually? Infrastructure. See, again I'm telling to you, I've taken server computer. Inside the server computer, I installed server software. When I installed server software, main server is available. Along with the main server, container is available. Container holds the total application. Application is already deployed. Understand it. So operational area is available. What is this operational area actually? This is the area where the total execution is going on. Just like it is a main memory. Think of it. Fine. Then after that, client browser is also available, ready. Protocol is existed here now. The remaining part is what there. We have to start the server. We have to access the application. Okay. Right. Observe carefully, all of you know. Some internal points I'm going to discuss now. Everybody, with the full attention, you have to understand. Then only you can understand the total flow of execution. All right. Let's say this. First of all, what I am telling to you, I want to start the server. First, what we are doing there, just I want to start the server. Starting the server in the sense, just I want to put a tick mark here like this. Assume it, the same convention I'm going to follow. How many times I'm going to give this flow of execution, right? Just if I put a tick mark like this, you can understand it. No, what I started here, server is starting. That is like what the Tomcat 10.0 application, double click under this bin folder. Server is starting. At the time of server startup, what exactly the activities are performed. When we start the server, what container will do and what this main server will do, that everything here we have to understand. When we start the server, container or maybe server, whatever it may be as of now, they will recognize all the web applications which are available under web apps folder. When we start the server, server will recognize all the web applications which are available under web apps folder. Main server will deploy all these web applications into the server space. The server will deploy all the web applications which are available under web apps folder to the server space. Deployment is completed. Two things I said no up to now. What are the two things? No, when I start the server, main server will recognize all the web applications which are available under web apps folder. Main server will deploy all these applications into the server space. Got it or not? They are the 2 points here we have done. Right, sir? Observe carefully. At the time of web application deployment, at the time of each and every web application deployment, container, who is that? No, container will search for deployment descriptor in the respective application. Container will search for deployment descriptor in the respective web application. What is the deployment descriptor? No, come on, what is the deployment descriptor? Web.xml file. If web.xml file is identified, when web.xml file is identified at the time of application deployment, what container will do now? Container will load web.xml file to the memory. Container will parse web.xml file. Parsing in the sense, checking all XML tags are provided properly or not. All values of that XML is provided properly or not. The checking process is what there? Parsing. After that, reading the data from what there? From web.xml file. In that web.xml file, if any data specific to the application, the data will be stored by creating servlet context object. What's that object name? Servlet context object. That's it. Now this is what exactly the work is going on when the application is deployment. When the application is deployed, at the time of deployment of our application, what is going to be happen? These are the activities are going on. But when application is deploying, no, at the time of server startup. Right. Of course, bits wise we are going to see the total flow. Now tell me, up to know what I completed here. Now tell me, all of you know, when we start the server, what a container will do? Not container even, what main server will do? First, main server will recognize all the web applications which are available under web apps folder, and main server will deploy all these web applications into the server space. At the time of deployment of the web application, container will search for deployment descriptor under web.inf folder with the name web.xml. If it is available, container will perform loading web.xml file, parsing web.xml file, reading the content from web.xml file. Whatever the data here we read from web.xml file, if it is an application level data, the data will be stored by creating a separate object for each and every application. That separate object is what there? Servlet context object. What is that object there? Servlet context object. Let me show that in the form of diagram here. No. All right, sir. First of all, now container will search for web.xml file. Am I right or not? Now here, what we are going to do there? Web.xml file loading or not? Now here, I want to say like what there? Web.xml file loading. XML loading. XML loading. Then after that, what we are able to say there after completion of this parsing, XML parsing. What next one here? No, parsing, XML parsing. Right, sir. XML loading, XML parsing. Then what next one here? After completion of this XML parsing there, we have to understand another one is like what there? XML reading. Reading the XML document. XML reading. Right, sir. After reading the XML content, for each and every web application, container will create a separate object. For each and every web application, container will create a separate object. That separate object is called servlet context object. Now inside this servlet context object, web application, that means web.xml file data will be stored with respect to the application. If any application related data is available, that will be stored in a servlet context object. Sir, up to that, all of you are getting clarity? All of you are getting clarity up to now? Any difficulty? Right, nothing, right? I'm asking few questions up to now, as per the up to now concept. Now answer for it. Who's creating servlet context object? Container or main server? Container or main server? Container, not main server. I said you already, main server doesn't have any predefined library of the servlets and servlet lifecycle. Servlet lifecycle and their activities done by whom? Done by whom? Container. Container knows about the servlet lifecycle. Everything, execution of the servlet could be done by what there? Container only. All right, sir. Main server is for the sake of deployment of the application match. Observe carefully. Right, sir. Now this is completed. Now next, tell me, who is recognizing web.xml file and who is loading that web.xml file? Is it main server or container? Again container, not main server now. Who is deploying web application to the server space now? Main server. Main server is deploying web application onto the server. Clear or not? That's it. Let's move on to the next point here. After that, next, fine. My web application, that means my server started. Server started. Server started. Clear. At the time of server startup, what we recognize here, application will be deployed, servlet context object will be created with the web application data. Server is started. The moment when server is started, my application is ready to serve or not? My application is ready to execute or not? Application is ready. Then immediately, what we have to do? Immediately, what we have to do? There, we need to provide one URL at the client address bar. We have to provide one URL. What exactly that URL here we are going to be provided here? http:// localhost 1010 / app01 /. Now what is that URL pattern we provided in the web.xml file there? Allow. Maybe I'm able to use this type of URL. This type of URL here we are able to provide. Got it or not? When we provide this URL, automatically here what happened there? A request will come to protocol. When I click on enter button with this particular one, automatically a request will come to the protocol. Now what protocol is able to do now? Protocol will establish a virtual socket connection between client browser and server mission on the basis of the server IP address and port number. Protocol will prepare a virtual socket connection between client and server on the basis of the server IP address and port number. Then after that, immediately protocol will create a request format. Protocol will create what format there? A request format. A request format, or simply RF, for example, request format. In this request format, how many parts are available there? 2 parts are existed. We know already. What are the 2 parts? You know, first one is like what there? Header part, and second one is what there? Body part. All right, whenever this request format is created, then immediately what will happen there after creating request format? No, right. When it is created, protocol will carry that request format to the main server. That means to the server. Protocol will carry that request format from client to the server. You know already the points here. In the request format, overall 2 parts are available. What are the 2 parts now? Header part and a body part. Header part contains a request headers data. Body part contains a request parameters data. Header part contains a request headers data. Body part contains what there? Request parameters data. Request headers data is the data about our client browser. Request parameters data is the data that the user has provided on the browser in the form of login forms, or in the form of like what there? Registration forms, or in the form of add forms or search forms, whatever it may be. User provided data in the browser is nothing but what there? Body part. Request parameters data that will be maintained in what there? Body part. But request headers data is what there? Client data. Request headers data is what there? Client data. That means browser's information. Yes, sir. All of you are getting clarity up to now? Okay, fine. When request format is coming to the server, when request format is coming to the server, who will take that request first? Is that container or main server? Who will take that request first? Container or main server? All right, sir. Definitely, main server will take your request. Directly, that request will come to whom there? Main server. Main server will take this request. Then what this main server will do here? What is the job of the main server? Main server will check whether this request is good or bad. The request is coming properly with the proper data or not. That's point number 1. Okay, fine. If request is coming with the proper data, then it will check whether this request is coming for static resource or dynamic resource on the basis of the resource name what we provided. Okay, now main server will understand that resource name is what there? Hello. It is not like any HTML page. It is not for any JSPs or anything, whatever it may be. So it will understand, main server understand that this is a request for some dynamic resource. This is a request for what their dynamic resource, especially main server can understand this is a request for what their servlet. URL pattern is coming there, then servlet. But to which server that request is coming, it has to know, it has to bypass that request to somebody else. But anyway, main server is able to handle only static resources. Main server is not handling what the dynamic resources now. Then immediately when main server understand this is a request is coming for a particular servlet, immediately main server will forward that request to whom their container. Immediately main server will forward that request to whom their container. Observe carefully. Now the request will come to whom their container. Okay, now this is what their servlet container. When request is coming from servlet container, immediately what container will do, container will take that application name and a container will take what their resource name. By taking this application name from URL, container will go to like what there, directly container will go to application app01. Container directly it will go to what there, app01. Okay. Now, by taking the resource name, container understands that this is an URL pattern for a particular servlet. To know for which servlet this URL pattern is coming from client. To know the name and location of the servlet class, immediately container will go to like what is there. Container will go with the container will go to web.xml file. Container will go to what there, web.xml file. Why? Because in web.xml file only the total data is existed. Which data is available there? No mapping details and all. Observe carefully. Container will go to what there? Web.xml file. Inside this web.xml file, container is trying to search for the servlet configuration which contains hello as an URL pattern. If any servlet configuration is providing hello is an URL pattern, immediately container will identify the respective servlet class name on the basis of its mapping. In web.xml file, basically mapping is available between a URL pattern and the respective servlet class name. Now container identifies like what their servlet class name. When it identifies the name and location of the class name, immediately container will search for this servlet class under what folder there, no classes folder. Container already aware about it. All the .class files are available under classes folder, where container will search for hello servlet .class file. Container will search for what there, hello servlet .class file. Yes sir, got it or not? For example, if hello servlet .class file is not available under classes folder, then container will search for hello servlet .class file under the jar files which are available in lib folder under the application. Lib folder is going to be available under web folder. Inside the lib folder, jar files are going to be available. There it will search. This is somewhat next level content only, not required here, but information I'm telling there. If the required .class file is not available under classes folder, immediately container will search for the respective .class files under the jar files which are available in a lib folder of the application. In web folder along with the web.xml, lib folder is available where some jar files may be available about our application there. In the jar files it will search. In the case if the required .class file is not available in both the locations, the required hello servlet .class file is not available at both the cases now, then immediately container will raise an exception. What is that exception there? No, servlet exception. Jakarta.servlet exception. Container will raise an exception like what there? Jakarta.servlet exception with the internal root cause. With the internal root cause is what there? Java.lang. No, that means Java.lang. Class not found exception. Outside exception, servlet level exception is what there? Servlet exception. Internal root cause is what there? Internal root cause is what there? Like a class not found exception. Java.lang. Class not found exception. Okay, in this example, servlet.class file is available or not? In this example, servlet.class file is available or not? Yes, exactly. Servlet.class file is existed in this particular one. Now directly here we will see like what there servlet.class file. That's it. Now this is a way to find the respective servlet class by the container. Come again, what I give in there, up to now. That means up to now in the sense. All right, sir. After the server startup, after starting the server, what we have taken there? Browser we have taken. There we provided some URL. What is that URL there now? HTTP colon slashes localhost colon 1010 slash app01 slash hello. Automatically request will come to what their protocol. Now protocol will establish a virtual socket connection. Then after that protocol will prepare what their request format. In that request format, what we are having there now, that means a header part and body part. Where header part contains what their request headers data. Body part contains what their request parameters data. Request headers data is the data about the browser. Request parameters data is the data about the user what he has provided there. All right, so when request format is ready, protocol will carry that request format to the server. Now at server, main server will take that request. Main server will check the request status, whether it is the right request or not. If it is a good request, it's okay. If it is not the good request, here itself main server will send some error response back to the respective client. In the case that request format and the request data is very good, main server will take that request. Main server will check whether this request is coming for any static resource or dynamic resource on the base of the resource name. Main server, in this case, main server identifies this. Now this request is coming for a particular servlet. It's not like what their static resource. The request is not for static resource. Request is for what their dynamic resource. Why? Because that URL, that means URL pattern is what their hello. It's not any HTML page. It's not any other page. Then immediately main server will forward that request to whom their container. Now what container will do? Container will take the application name and URL pattern from the respective URL. Then immediately container will go to the respective application. Inside this application, it should know to which servlet this request is coming. Container must know to which servlet class this hello request is coming. So where that mapping details are available, the URL pattern, the servlet class mapping details are existed there. Where they are available, web.xml file. Immediately container will go to what their web.xml file. Inside this web.xml file, it will search for the servlet configuration, which includes hello is an URL pattern. Definitely one servlet configuration is identified where hello is an URL pattern. When a hello URL pattern is identified, container will search for the respective mapped class. What is that class which is mapped with the hello? No, hello servlet is mapped. Then immediately container will take this hello servlet name, fully qualified name of the hello servlet name. Then immediately it will go to what folder there? No, classes folder. Inside the classes folder, what is available here? No, hello servlet dot class file is available. In the case if it is not available under classes folder, immediately container will search for hello servlet under what files there? jar files which are available in the lib folder of our application. Maybe of course our servlet class might be provided by some third party. The third party provided implementations are available in the form of jar files which are in what there? Our application provided lib folder. So because of that reason, first a container will search for the servlet.class files under classes. And the second location is what there? Jar files which are available in the lib folder of the web application. At both the locations, if the servlet.class file is not available, at both the locations, if the servlet.class file is not available, immediately container will raise an exception. What is that exception that container will raise there? Java x.servlet.servlet exception or jakarta.servlet.servlet exception. But what is the root cause internally? The internal root clause is what there? Java.lang.class not found exception. Java.lang.class not found exception. Yes, sir. All of you get my point or not? Okay, leave this one. Completed. Whenever the servlet class, hello servlet dot class file is identified, then what next one? What is going to be happen in the next attempt now? Observe carefully. When a servlet class is identified, whenever the servlet dot class file is identified, immediately immediately container will execute this servlet by following servlet life cycle. Container will execute the servlet by following what their servlet life cycle. What exactly the servlet life cycle again? The servlet life cycle is what their servlet loading. Then first life cycle activity is what their servlet loading. Whatever the servlet dot class file is available, that will be loaded to the memory. This phase is called as what their servlet loading. All of you are following or not? Next one. After the servlet loading, immediately container will create an object for the loaded servlet. Immediately container will create an object for the loaded servlet. This is called as a servlet object. This is what their servlet object. The process of creating the servlet is called as servlet instantiation. Servlet instantiation. This is what their servlet instantiation. Servlet loading is completed. Next one is what their servlet instantiation. Clear? After completion of this servlet instantiation, what next one? What container will perform there? Observe carefully. In the servlet instantiation, inside the servlet object, how many methods are available? 5 methods are available. But I required only one method. What is that method here now? Service method. Service method. There only my application logic is available. Service method here we required. As a clear or not? Here what is available there? Service method is existed now. Nearly 5 methods are available, but our required method is what there? Service method that we are going to implement here. Observe carefully. After completion of this service method, that means after completion of this servlet initialization, container will perform, next step, container will perform like what there? Servlet initialization. Container will perform what there? Servlet initialization. Right, sir. Now this is exactly called as like what there? Servlet initialization. Servlet initialization. Inside this servlet initialization, container will call init method. To this init method, there is a parameter. What is that parameter? Actually, servlet config, where some code might be existed, whatever it may be. But to perform servlet initialization, inside this initialization, init method will be called. So container has to execute init method. But to execute init method, what it is required actually, it has to create servlet config object. It has to create what object there? Servlet config object. Now, first container will create servlet config object with the all details of like what there? Servlet description, what we have specified inside the web.xml file. Servlet config object will be created, that will be passed as parameter to that init method. Init method will have servlet config is a parameter. Okay, now here I want to write this is what the servlet config. This will be created. All right, when the servlet initialization is completed, immediately container will create a thread to execute our service method. In which way JVM is creating a thread to execute our main method, in which way main thread is coming there. Immediately container is creating a thread to execute this service method. This is what this thread container is creating what there? A thread to execute our service method. Okay, but to call this service method, first a container must create two objects. To call this service method, container must create two objects. What are the parameters for the service method in general? Two parameters. What are the two parameters? No. First one is servlet request. Second one is what there? Servlet response. Then immediately what container will do, if container wants to access service method, immediately it has to pass two objects. Means that it has to create two objects. What are the two objects it has to create there? First one is like what I am telling to you, observe clearly. First one is servlet request object. First one is a servlet request object. and the second one is what there? Servlet response objects. First one is a servlet request object, and second one is what there? Servlet response object. Two objects must be created. This is like what I'm telling there, request, and this is like what I'm telling there, a response. In the request object, request data is available. Incoming request data is available, that will be stored inside what there? Request object. Request object contains incoming request data. Whatever the request data is coming there from client, no, the data will be maintained by request object. As of now, response object is empty. As of now, response object is empty. Only request object contains the data. Still, we are not executing the service method. Now here, what happened there? By passing these request and response objects, automatically that service method will be executed. By passing request and response objects, automatically service method will be executed. Inside the service method, what is available? Right, out.println of HTML. HTML is one response. That HTML will come to what there? HTML will come to this particular response object. So one response is what there? HTML. Next response is what there now? Observe carefully, body. Next one is what there? For example, welcome message. Welcome message, or we can say like what there? Hello user. That message we provided. Then after that we close this what there? Body. Then after that we close like what there? HTML. Of course, h1 tag and all the tags are available. That doesn't matter. Whatever the parameter values we provided to out.println, no, everything will be available inside like what there? Response object. Observe carefully. All right. When response is created, whenever the thread is coming to the ending point of the service method, when a thread is coming to the ending point of the service method, there automatically the thread will come to the dead state. Automatically the thread will come to what state there? Dead state. Automatically the thread will come to what state there? Dead state. Observe carefully. When the thread is available in dead state, no, container will understand service request processing phase is completed. When thread is coming to the dead state, no, automatically container will understand request processing phase is completed. Then immediately container will get the response from response object. Container will get response from response object. Then immediately container will send that response to the first container will take response from like what the response object. Then after that, what container will do? After that, container will send that response to the main server. Container will send that response to the main server. Now main server will send that response to whom? Their protocol. Container will send the response to whom? Their protocol. Now what protocol will do? No, protocol will prepare a response format. Protocol will prepare what format? There no response format. Inside this response format, two parts are available. What are the two parts? No, header part is available and body part is available. This is like what I'm telling there, header part, and this is like what I'm telling to you, body part. When response format is ready, protocol will carry that response format to the respective client. Protocol will carry that response format to the respective client, which has both a header part and body part. Here, what is this response header part? What is this response body part actually? Header part is able to manage some metadata of the response, like which type of response, what content of the response, everything. But body part is able to manage what the actual dynamic response. Right, sir, actual dynamic response. Okay, when this response is coming to the respective client, immediately client browser will get response from the body part and it able to display the required response on the client browser. There we are able to display like what they don't know. All right, so something else like what their hello user is a response here we are getting clearly. Sir, got it or not? Now tell me here what happened here. Then few minutes back, if you observe this content here. So servlet dot class file is identified at server machine by the container. Then what container will do? Container will execute the servlet by following its life cycle. What's the life cycle of the servlet here? container will load servlet class bytes code to the memory. That is called as what there? Servlet loading. After that, container will create an object for the servlet class. That is what there? Servlet initialization. Inside the servlet object, service method is available. That's it. Not executed immediately. Next one is after the servlet initialization, container will go for what there? Servlet initialization. Inside this initialization, container has to access what method? Init method. But to call init method, parameter must be provided or not. Then immediately container will create which object there? Servlet config object. That servlet config object reference value will be passed to init method. So init method will be executed. After this, initialization will be performed. Here only people are missing the flow. After completion of initialization, they are checking in the air. Then what is the next step? Immediately container will create a thread to execute what method? No, service method. Inside the service method, to call the service method, two objects are required. What are the two objects? No, first one is what there? Servlet request object. Second one is what there? Servlet response object. Immediately container must create servlet request and response objects by passing these two objects as parameters to the service method. By passing these two objects as parameter to the service method, automatically service method is going to be executed. Request object contains a client request data. Whatever the request data which is coming from client to the server, the data is available in a request object. But in the response, as of now, response is empty. But when we execute the service method, out.println and some values are available. That values will come to what object? No, response object. Whenever the data is coming to the response object, immediately, okay, after completion of this response in the response object, when this thread coming to the ending point of the service method, automatically the thread will come to what state there? Dead state. The thread will come to what state there? Dead state. For your better understanding, you will give in dead state. Actually, it will maintain thread pooling topic internally. That thread will be sent back to the pool object. Connection pooling, we understood that. When connection work is completed, the connection will be sent back to the pool object. Here also with thread pooling. So then thread will execute the total service method. When it comes to the ending point of the service method there, then the thread will be sent back to the pool object internally. But anyway, we can understand it now. It's a dead state, for example. Whenever the thread is in dead state, no, container will understand the total request processing is completed. Final response is available in the response object. Then immediately container will pick the response. Container will send that response to like what their main server. Container will get that response and container will send that response to what their main server. Now main server will send that response to what their protocol. That protocol response format will be created. Inside the response format, header part and body part is available. Then protocol will keep that response in the body part, and header part is the metadata of the response. Now protocol will carry that response format to the respective client. Protocol will carry that response format to the respective client. At a client browser, what happened there? No, client browser will take response from the body part and it able to display the response to the user. Hello user, the data here we are getting. Yes, sir. All of you are getting it or not? Chapter now. Fine. When response is reached to the respective client, when a response is reached to the respective client, immediately what happened there? Immediately protocol will terminate the connection what we established. When response is reached to the client, no, protocol will terminate the connection which is established already. Whenever connection is terminated, now container understand that response is reached to the respective client. Immediately container will destroy request and response objects. Immediately container will destroy what objects there? No, request and response objects. All right, sir. When a container destroys these request and response objects, after that immediately container will be in a waiting state. Container will go for in waiting state, waiting for more requests for the same servlet. Container will go to what their waiting state. It is waiting for what their further requests for the same servlet. After completion of the waiting state, if no requests are coming there, after completion of the waiting state, if no requests are coming there, immediately container will destroy servlet config object first of all. Then after that, immediately servlet object will be destroyed. Immediately servlet object will be destroyed. Destroying servlet object is nothing but what there? Servlet deinstantiation. Destroying servlet object is called as what there? Servlet deinstantiation. When a servlet object is destroyed, immediately container will unload servlet. Container will unload the servlet class bytecode, removes that servlet bytecode. Okay, fine. Whenever this servlet bytecode is removed there, by this the total servlet lifecycle will be stopped. In the case, if you undeploy the web application, in the case, if you undeploy the web application, or in the case, if we shut down the server, in the case if we shut down the server or if you undeploy the web application, automatically container will perform destroying servlet context object. Destroying what object there? No, servlet context object. When it is destroying servlet context object, automatically that XML document is also be unloaded from the memory. Nothing is going to be available. Not recognized at that point here, but destroying servlet context object. That's it. Tell me last part here. Again, what I'm telling there, when response is reached to the respective client, what protocol will do? Protocol will terminate its socket connection. By this, automatically container will destroy what objects? No, request and response objects. After that, container will come to what state there? Waiting state. Waiting for further request for the same servlet. After the ideal time, if no further requests are coming for the servlet, then container will destroy first a servlet config object, then immediately servlet object. Destroying servlet object is nothing but what there? Servlet deinstantiation. Immediately container will unload the servlet bytecode from the memory. That is called as what there? Servlet unloading. After that, when we undeploy the web application or when we shut down the server, either when we undeploy the web application or when we shut down the server, automatically container will destroy the servlet context object also. When we destroy the servlet context object, the total application is removed from the server space here. That's it now. This is the total flow of execution here we can understand. Yes, sir. All of you are following or not? So this is the total content here. Then what I'm telling to you, I'll save this as is. I'll save this as is. So tomorrow before come for the class, please try to check this total content here, total flow of execution, and come to the session. Then only we are able to understand the content here. Otherwise, you may not understand the content here. Right, sir. Inside the servlet, then I'm going to prepare like what there, our content here. Now, just I'm providing like what there, servlet internal flow 1. That I'm providing there. Then tomorrow, for the sake of our repetition, I want to repeat the total flow of execution. Then after that, I'll try to create the document for this total flow of execution. But everybody must thorough with this flow of execution. Don't neglect this flow of execution. Everybody must thorough with this flow of execution. Why? Because simple, interviewer will ask a question to you simply. Tell me what is servlet flow of execution, or tell me what is servlet life cycle. If interviewer is asking this type of question, take some white paper and draw this diagram while explaining the content. How much time I have taken to explain this total content? The same much of time, same amount of time we have to take to explain the same content to the interviewer. Don't miss any point here. If you miss any point here, interviewer will ask that question there. So every point if we talk there, for every question, answer is available inside this particular flow. So then remaining part is yours. Then how much you are going to understand this flow of execution. Not only this time here, next 2 to 3 examples, we are going to see the similar type of flow of execution, but with the small variations only. That we are going to understand anyway by moving on to the content now. Right, sir. That's all for today. All right, now that's all for today. Then tomorrow we'll continue the part here. Take some break and come back for spring class. Those who are attending spring room. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on tomorrow. All right, and which class is implementing servlet response interface now? They are internal concepts. Server to server dependencies available. That's what I'm telling there. Servlet is an abstraction provided by Servlet is an abstraction provided by Sun Microsystems, and implementations are provided by all the server vendors. That we don't know what exactly the implementation class is available, but internally server vendor is providing one implementation class. Okay, thank you.